Story by Nusi's Life, A Couch of Quiet Returns. About a year ago, my favorite t-shirt went missing. A Beetlejuice graphic tee, which is probably not important to the story, but somehow feels like it is because it's my favorite. And I like the specificity of it as if it matters, like it wouldn't be the same story if it were plain gray Hanes. I looked all over for it. Closet, floor, the chair in my room that's really just a fabric surface for things I'm not ready to put away, and the classic under my bed, and so many more spots. Obviously, I didn't find it. At some point, I stopped looking. That's pretty normal, honestly. Clothes disappear, usually socks, but I can accept this. They get swallowed by whatever pocket dimension handles those missing socks. Maybe Beetlejuice is involved. Just a few months ago, my mom texted me a picture of the shirt, asking if it was mine, and I, of course, told her, yeah, that's my shirt. Didn't ask how she had it, or why she was now texting me a photo of it, just confirm it and move on. When something reappears after you've already made your peace with losing it, it doesn't have any weight or feeling to it. This has happened to me before, but not for clothes. The next time I went over to my mom's house, I asked her about the shirt and she told me it was in the living room on the couch. It wasn't on the couch. I looked at both couches, and I really hate telling my mom I can't find something if she tells me it's there, because I'll look as hard as I can, won't find it. Then mom pulls up and grabs it in a microsecond. What the frick is up with moms? Anyway, my mom came in and looked. She was completely certain, not defensive, just sure. That's where she put it. Still folded, too. But, for a very rare change of pace, she can't find it now either. My sister still lives there, so we asked her. She said she hadn't taken it on purpose, but admitted she might have picked it up without thinking. So we checked her room, her laundry basket too. The shirt was not there either. At that point, I gave up a second time and went home. A week later, my mom came over and handed it to me. Said it had been right there on the couch the whole time, folded exactly the way she left it. Same fold. Like it had just been sitting there patient and unbothered through the entire search, through all of us turning the room inside out looking for it. Which she admits makes no sense. It's in my dresser drawer now. I put it there deliberately. When I'm not wearing it or washing it, that's where it lives, but my gut tells me it's temporary. I just hope it doesn't vanish on me while I'm wearing it. That would be awkward. Sometimes I'll get this small, cold feeling without any thoughts involved, purely emotional, and I'll go check on it, just to see and make sure. It's always there so far, but the checking doesn't really help, because the thing I'm afraid of isn't that it'll be gone, it's that it'll be gone, and then a week later, someone will hand it back to me, and neither of us will be able to explain it, and the shirt will just sit there, folded, and the cycle will repeat forever. Be gone, Beetlejuice. So I don't think Beetlejuice has clothing in mind, although he does kind of dress dapper, doesn't he? So maybe he would like a shirt about himself. He does have an ego as well, so I could see that. But yeah, the actual glitch, I think the fact that you and your mom both searched the couch, I mean, even on your own, it's obvious that you can't miss a shirt being on a couch unless it's full of junk, but I don't think that was the case in this case. So you and your mom both searched it. It's not there, and eventually it is there. I mean, you could say that, okay, the sister took it, didn't want the heat, so she hid it, and then returned it later on to the couch. Okay, I could buy that, but based on the reaction that you both had, I think she would have just come clean if that was the case. Your sister, Beetlejuice, or the gnomes, or something took it and something brought it back. Welcome, I'm Paul, this is Dave. Today I have 10 Glitch in the Matrix and paranormal stories for you. My favorite one involves water. Alright. Let me know your favorite one as well, and don't forget to like the video. Okay, let's get to it. Story by Twisted F8. Dad's still managing inventory. I moved into my boyfriend's childhood home a few years ago. Let me start by saying it's an odd thing to live in a home that is filled with 50 plus years of someone else's memories, belongings, and photos. I feel the presence of his parents at all times. About 2 years ago, I completely gutted the garage and organized all the tools which belonged to his father. There was a heavy-duty staple gun which I hung on a hook on a pegboard wall. The only memorable feature of this tool was that it still had the faded remnant of an old price sticker on it. Last summer, we repaired the floor in a separate shed, and I took the staple gun out there to fasten the rubber mats to the floor. I have no idea where I set it down after that, but I clearly didn't return it to the pegboard in the garage. Fast forward to winter. I needed a staple gun for a project and searched the entire shed and garage multiple times. It was a source of frustration for literally weeks. I was too stubborn to buy another staple gun when I knew for certain we had one already, and I put my project on the back burner as a result. I asked my boyfriend about it many times, and he says he never saw a stapler at all and has no idea. He's really not too handy, and doesn't mess with the tools or fix things. That's my department, just like it had been his father's department when he was alive. If boyfriend had used a stapler, it would have been memorable, and he also rarely puts things away after using them. Eventually, after I had searched everywhere, including inside the house, and decided it was simply gone, I begrudgingly bought a cheap replacement at Harbor Freight. Fast forward again. Yesterday, I went out to the shed to look for some penetrating oil in the cabinet. There's built-ins in the shed that are pretty much just kitchen cabinets, complete with a kitchen counter that's used as a workbench. On the corner of the kitchen counter, right where I do everything, is an antique cardboard box. Aero T50 heavy-duty all-purpose staple gun tacker. Immediately, I'm like, what the F? I've cleaned and organized the shed, worked in the shed, and I've searched through multiple times for the staple gun, and I've never seen this box in my life. I slid the cover off, and there is indeed a shiny Aero staple gun in the box, complete with a faded price sticker. I ran into the house to ask my boyfriend if he had found the stapler and put it in the box on the counter. This would be so unlike him to do anyway. He had no idea what I was even talking about. He was never privy to the emotional turmoil I had been through for months over this damn stapler. Story by Lactating Wolverine. The Silence Between Motions. The daily routine in our house is to take our 2 dogs out for a walk and then feed them when we get back home. They're on different foods, so we feed them separately in different rooms. To stop their food getting in their long ears, we put hoodies on their heads. These dogs know the routine well and will go to their respective feeding areas and sit while I put the hoodie on. I do all the feeding in the house. My wife does not get invited. This morning, we went through the routine again. It's the weekend, so my wife is still asleep in bed. Dog 1 gets his hoodie on. I recall mentioning it to my wife yesterday about how he eyes up his food bowl while I'm doing it. I chuckle to myself, give him a pat on the head, and go do the same for dog 2. A few minutes later, I go back to see dog 1 licking his empty bowl. His ears are loose, so I assume his hoodie is around his neck. No. I look around the room. He doesn't seem to have pulled it off. I go back into the kitchen. It's sitting on the window ledge where we keep it while not in use. I'm genuinely confused. I did put it on him this morning. I did not remove it and then erase all memory of having done so. I don't know what to make of it. Story by 13 Kittens and Counting. Pool Rules Redefined. For a long time, I was in as much disbelief as you're probably going to be soon. I want to promise I was not having some kind of psychotic break or hallucination. I only have one other witness, my husband, but he remembers it a little differently than I do. A few years ago, me and my husband were staying at some cheap hotel near Pittsburgh because he had to go there for a manager meeting, and we decided to stay a few extra days because we really liked the city and decided we wanted to see a few attractions after his conference and meeting thing was over. This hotel had a standard indoor pool, 3 to 7 feet deep, with a ladder and a staircase into the pool. Here's my perspective. As he was drying off to go get some snacks from the lobby for us, I decided to try to jump in the deep end of the pool because I haven't done that since I was a kid, and I would be the only one there. While he was drying himself off on the chairs on the shorter side of the pool, I walked over to the deep end and was hyping myself up for the jump. For some reason, as I stood on the side of the pool, I had a weird detachment from reality or something of the sort. This is what I would call the glitch. I had a sudden, third-person perspective of myself, like I was piloting myself from directly above. I had an awareness of my body, face, and the parts of myself I couldn't see from above, but I had a weird telepathic knowing, sense or something. Like when you're dreaming and you just know what everything around you looks like without actually seeing it. I had a sort of diamond or weird trapezoid kind of shape above my head, and I wasn't afraid at all. It was just like, yeah, that's the floating mind diamond, obviously. Not a second thought about it. And I remember feeling like the laws of the universe meant that I could never fall, and I could never drop it. So, obviously, I could walk onto the water like a surface and just, that's how it was, I guess. It felt completely like the laws of physics and space were different, but also that they'd always been that way. It came naturally to me, like how you feel gravity comes naturally to you or any other force. Like I had known these reality rules my whole life, I guess is the best way to put it. So I just walked onto the water to do my dive. I just stepped forward and felt a sort of particle barrier or something between the bottom of my feet and the water surface. And all this time, I'm still not questioning anything like, yeah, obviously that's how this works, kind of feeling. Our perspectives break here. For me, I walked onto the water and was like, oh, now I can't dive? And as if I remember a part of this, in reality, physics, it broke, and I was pulled back to this world and was suddenly hit with a rush of adrenaline as I knew I was going to fall into the water, which I obviously did. In the moment of realization, I heard a cracking sound like really muted, high-pitched thunder, or like someone stepped on a twig. That entire realization, adrenaline, and fall took less than a second. Just snap, back to normal. I came up out of the water to look at my husband, who had a confused sort of what the F look on his face, almost like anger or disgust, mixed with complete and total confusion. I looked back, trying to figure out what the hell had happened. His perspective is that I walked over to the other end of the pool, and he heard a weird hum sound, like a low-pitched flute mixed with the noises you hear when you put your head on someone's stomach and hear their digestion. He looked up at me, expecting me to also be looking around confused, but saw me acting totally normal. I then stepped out onto the water and started walking out to the middle of the pool, as I also remember. Then he heard a snap and saw something that appeared like a really small lightning above my head as I fell. We remember everything the same, except he remembered that weird humming that I have no recollection of, and the light I didn't see above my head. But we both remember the sound. Anyway, we told the story to my mom, who's very much the woo-woo witchy type, and she said I snapped into somewhere else, but my body here was doing the same thing it was there, because I had accidentally made myself split into 2 places at once. I don't believe that entirely, because that's not what it felt like. It felt completely real, and if my husband hadn't witnessed it, I would have thought I had some kind of psychotic break or depersonalization episode. But he saw it too, and told me everything exactly as I remember it, before I told him what I had felt, minus the details of the hum and whatnot. Any idea what this could be? I still don't feel right years later. This is my favorite story because of how rare and unique it is. I think it's the most unique story I've read so far. Certainly the most unexplainable. I mean, walking on water. And also, the thing you described above your head, like a diamond-shaped object or icon, it reminds me of The Sims. And you didn't describe your husband seeing that. He heard a noise and saw a flash of light. It's like a command being entered by the human player in the real world controlling your sim, or reinfusing himself back into it, because I don't think we're just conscious but not playable characters. I think we are the real players from the real world injected in. It's like the Matrix, pretty much. That is my guess anyways. And I think what you're seeing is a bit behind the curtains, behind the scenes, seeing the machinery of things, at least as far as we can, within the simulation. And the auditory and visual bugs, or anomalies, those were manifestations of probably some kind of error, maybe whatever mechanism or device or even a cord you could imagine something is connecting you to the simulation might have been severed temporarily, and this was an attempt to reconnect. That is my best guess. Story by Das Weaver, A Loosened Law of Position. So, I have a guitar that I have been playing pretty much on a daily basis since 1988. Guitar Nerds. It's a Steinberger GL. I've been talking, for the most part, 2 to 8 hours a day for 38 years. It's my main guitar. When I bought this guitar, I also bought a nice, expensive, thick leather strap. Guitar Nerds. It's a Levi Leathers 1.5-inch strap made of garment leather. It's still on the guitar as I write and never comes off except when it goes in the gig bag. On the strap, I have a set of strap locks. Guitar Nerds. Schaller S locks. These strap locks have never been removed from the strap nor guitar since the early 90s. They basically bolt on and become part of the strap, and that's it. But it happened that, in the early 90s, the retaining nut kept unthreading itself because the strap leather was so thick and the threaded part a little too short, which was annoying and dangerous. Expensive guitar plunging to the floor, etc. It's a half-inch nut on a threaded shaft. So I, being a mechanical type, eventually used a socket wrench and Loctite glue to make sure the bitch never moved again. I mean never. Remember, this was in the early 90s, and so for 30 plus some odd years, that bitch didn't move, and I've been playing it daily ever since. A week or so ago, I put on the guitar to practice in the morning like I always do, and the strap felt twisted and uncomfortable, with the edge of the strap digging into my left shoulder. No big deal. Sometimes the strap locks let the strap rotate, so I take off the guitar and try to untwist the strap, but I can't. Here's the glitch. I look at the strap and realize that the strap lock on the neck side is on backwards. Now, understand that this guitar has the strap button on the back of the guitar, which means that in order for the strap to lay flat, the locks go on the opposite side of the strap. The locks were now on the same side. So I'm a bit flummoxed, and I double check to make sure I'm not losing my mind, and then I freak out. So I take the strap lock off, which requires a socket wrench, a pair of needle nose pliers, and some serious torque. There, imprinted into the leather, are the deep marks from the parts of the strap lock, and some overflowed thread lock showing it has been like this for decades, which is freaking impossible. And this whole time I'm questioning my sanity and wondering, what the frick? I cannot convince myself that I've been playing this guitar for 3+ decades with the strap lock on the wrong side. There's no way in hell somebody came in and messed with my setup, or something like that. Because it's only me and my girlfriend, and she cares nothing about my guitars, never mind knowing what size socket would be required, etc. And that guitar is rarely out of my sight. It's pretty literally a part of me. It's not from one of my other guitars, because each has its own strap set to its own specific length, and it would make me insane immediately if I somehow did that. Plus, all my other straps are 3-inch leather straps. Guitar Nerds. The cheap Levi's wide straps, $22 from Amazon. The great straps, just not garment leather. So, there we have it. A glitch, a timeline jump, I'm schizo. I have no idea. What the actual frick? I think maybe I died in my sleep and jumped timelines. That actually is the most reasonable explanation. Not much to add on this one besides fully agreeing with you that, yes, the most likely explanation is that you simply went to a different universe. It's so cool and crazy, kind of crazy, that that is the most likely explanation. And I like that more people are starting to understand. I mean, it's still within our niche or small community, you could say, of people realizing in quantum immortality and the multiverse is probably real, maybe the simulation too. But it is growing, I think, and that's just awesome. Story by Possible Click 7923, a Fleshy hardware update. I touched my monitor with the middle knuckle area of my fingers, not the main hard knuckles, the middle joints, because I thought there was a scratch or a hair on my screen. It was a thin dark line that could be anything, probably a smear or a dead pixel, something that got there while I was sleeping. It was an automatic reaction, right after seeing it too. My hands were clean, but still not a great idea to directly touch your monitor like this. When I touched that spot, my fingers went into the monitor for around 2 seconds and I felt nothing. No resistance whatsoever. What the hell? My hand was in it, like there was no surface there. And I want to be careful about how I say this, because I know how easy it is to dress something up after the fact, to make it sound more dramatic than it was. But I'm not doing that like at all. It wasn't like pushing through something soft. It was more like the absence of anything to push through. Like reaching into a doorway, except the doorway was a solid thing a moment before. It shocked me so much that I instantly pulled my hand back. Then I looked at the exact spot where my knuckle had been, trying to understand what had happened. The screen just sat there bright as ever, no damage to it. Whatever was open on it, I can't even remember now, but probably YouTube. The screen looks completely normal. I've been sitting here for maybe 20 minutes, opening and closing my hand, testing my fingers against the edge of my desk, the ceramic of my mug, the wall next to the window, even my own body. Everything is solid and my hand sends normal texture signals to my brain as I caress everything in sight. Everything where it's supposed to be. I touched the monitor again, in the same spot too, but slowly, and it was fine, just glass, warm and slightly gritty. So, there's no explanation that makes sense, and I can't tell if that's better or worse than if something had actually been wrong with it. Has anyone else had this happen? Like touching something solid and suddenly there's just no barrier there for a moment? I know how it sounds, but that's exactly what happened. If anyone else has experienced this, please let me know so we can talk about it. I need answers. I'm not someone who posts things like this, by the way. I want to say that too. I've been reading on these forums for years and I read the threads about glitches and simulations and whatever, and I scroll past them. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying my hand went somewhere it shouldn't have been able to go, and then it came back, and now everything is normal. That's saying a lot on its own, I think. So another case where the laws of physics simply cease to function. Is this similar to the pool story where, for some reason, your player character in the real world disconnected for a moment? Maybe that translates to objects that they're tethered to losing cohesion in some form. The laws of physics that govern it, they bend and even break in some cases. Like the Neo when he realizes that the world is fake. But beyond just fake, malleable. It's one thing to know something, it's another to fully internalize and feel it, right? You can know many facts, but there's a higher level to just knowing something. There's truly understanding and believing it, which is especially if you're in the Matrix, even if you're aware of the simulation, with concrete fact, it would still be hard to just jump out of a plane or something, even though you know, okay, I'm just going to wake up in the real world or whatever, or go to a different universe. There's a part of you inside that isn't fully connected to that, even if you knew for a fact. So when you cross that threshold and you fully embrace it, things awaken. Story by Snoo 73340. Logic was closed in this lane. Yesterday, I went around a curve in the right lane of a 2-lane arterial roadway towards a bridge and saw that there was road construction in that lane. Orange cones trailing off ahead of me, a flagger somewhere in the distance I couldn't quite make out yet. It's a setup I recognize subconsciously before real thoughts swirl around my head. My foot is already off the gas pedal. The left lane was backed up almost to the curve and traffic was completely stopped. I signaled to move over just ahead of a white Mustang, but the driver wouldn't let me in. I don't know why I remember it being a Mustang, but I do. There's something about the way certain drivers sit in certain cars, and Mustang owners have a very specific aura. He pulled up close, closed the gap. Not aggressive exactly, just deliberate, making sure I understood he's the boss man. I moved up one car by a white SUV, and the driver let me in, just like that. Didn't make a thing of it. I remember feeling something loosen in my chest. Animal, primal gratitude might be the words for it when a fellow driver is kind to you. Which is embarrassing to admit, but there it is. We waited about 20 minutes before traffic started moving. Long enough that I'd stopped thinking about any of it. The radio and the heat of the dashboard made me drift off a bit. You forget there were ever other cars. But as I went to cross the bridge, the Mustang was right behind me. I noticed it because of the color, a very particular and intense flat white, and something about the front end. I thought, and then I looked for the SUV in my mirrors, in the lane beside me, ahead, anywhere, and it wasn't there anymore. There was nowhere the SUV could have gone. The bridge has no exits and traffic is stacked. There were no turnoffs between the merge point and where I was at. It had been stop-and-go traffic the whole time, never lost sight of what was around me, and still. I drove the rest of the way home, and made dinner and didn't think about it again, until this morning, and even now I'm not sure what I'd be claiming. That a white SUV let me into traffic and then stopped existing? That sounds freaking insane. But I've been going back over it and I can't find the part where it fits, where it went, what I missed. The Mustang was right there, close enough that I could see the driver. Same guy, same boss posture. And ahead of him, just little old me. Okay, so another example of space-time portals have to be targetable, because I don't believe this SUV was fiction. When you're in traffic, everything is tightly compacted. It's almost like compressing gas. If there's a gap, they would be filled. So the SUV had to be there, not just according to you and your perception, but everyone else's perception. So everyone else that was aware of the SUV would be equally as befuddled as you are. But more importantly, again, space-time portals, they have to be targetable. Or they're like one-time use things. Maybe that's also possible. But what the hell causes them, and where do they come from? Are they alien inventions or spawns, or the government testing something? I don't know. It's one of those things that is solved in the direct mechanism, right? But we don't know why it exists to begin with. I mean, a lot of things we just don't know, but that's one of the bigger questions for us, for sure. Maybe one day we'll have our own space-time tools. It's kind of like the portal gun, right? In the game Portal. But you have an exit point that you can direct. And I think that is part of the mechanism, if I had to guess. There is an exit that you can specify as well. If it was purely random, that'd be kind of useless. Story by Princess Dead. Something between here and there. A few months ago, I graduated from Law University, and my grandparents got me these gorgeous gold earrings. Yesterday, I was going to go out and I decided to wear them. As I was putting them on, one earring slipped out of my hand and dropped on the floor. I searched everywhere. Floor, carpet, under the bed, moved my closet, etc. Nowhere to be found. I don't wear jewelry a lot. These were real gold and very special to me because they hold a sentimental value. I got home and before sleeping, I did another extensive search in my room. Just gone. I was so upset I called my mom to come over in the morning to help me search. You know all the stories of small stuff disappearing and reappearing in strange places. I remember reading all of them in the past of fays and gnomes taking things, etc. Before I went to sleep, I was thinking about how weird the whole situation is, and I was so desperate, I started saying out loud things like, "Please, I beg you to give me my earrings back." In the morning, my mom came early, woke me up, and we had no trouble finding the earring. It was on one part of the floor. I was so happy. But since it's a Sunday, I was just chilling and decided to go on my laptop and play some games. My mouse pad is gone. I use my laptop a lot. I do some part-time internship from home, and my laptop mouse is always on the table. I can't find it anywhere. I don't carry it around the house. It's just gone. I'm not going to ask for it back. I'll buy a new one on Monday. The gnomes can have it. Story by Victory Dance. Egg.exe has recovered. I brought a hard-boiled egg to work for breakfast today that was already peeled and cut in half. I keep a mini bottle of Frank's Red Hot sauce at my desk, so I put some of that on the egg. After already putting the hot sauce on the egg, I noticed that the sauce looked kind of separated in the bottle, so I double-checked the date and it was good. I wanted to eat just a quarter piece of the egg in case the hot sauce tasted bad, so I used a plastic fork to cut one half of the egg in half again. And I was frustrated because I wasn't cutting through the egg very well. I ate the quarter piece of the egg and it tasted fine. Then my friend texted me saying that she was nearby and wanted to stop by to go grab her sunglasses that she had left in my car the other day. So I went out to the parking lot to meet her and was gone for about 5 minutes. I came back inside, and when I went to eat another piece of my egg, there were 2 entire halves again. There should have been a half and a quarter. I'm absolutely certain that I cut half of the egg into quarters and then ate a quarter piece of the egg because of wanting to taste the hot sauce, being annoyed by the plastic fork, and confirming that the hot sauce tasted okay. So it wasn't like I got distracted by my friend and never actually took a bite. I know I quartered a piece and I know I ate it. So how was the egg in 2 full halves again? Story by Ashatabel, Where Things Go Between Thoughts. Let me preface by saying that I live alone and have had no visitors in over 6 months, at least none that I'm aware of, and no one else has a key to my house but me. I woke up this morning and found lying on the bathroom floor a partially used up roll of toilet paper. A roll with about a few days left on it. Aside from the fact that I have never and cannot fathom a situation where I would use most of a roll and then take it off the holder to put a whole new one on when that much was still on the roll, but there should have been no one else in the house who would do that either. And if I did for some reason, I would have thrown it away and not placed it in the middle of the bathroom floor. The roll on the holder is not new either. It has been there a few days. But I know I did not do this, and I don't sleepwalk either. I wear 2 plastic night splint boots on both feet that take some doing getting in and out of, for plantar fasciitis. That includes unbuckling several straps, and you can't walk on those without breaking them, and I don't use toilet paper for any other purpose. I have a box of tissues in the bathroom and a roll of paper towels. The existence of this item is puzzling. I have heard of spirits and fae taking things, and also relocating things and even duplicating things, but this situation is a bit odd and is creeping me out a bit. Now time for the jokes of the day. A cop asked me, "Do you know how fast you were going?" I told him, "I was just trying to keep up with traffic." He looked around and said, "There is no traffic." That's how far behind I am. Did you hear about the guy who died when a periodic table fell on him? The official cause of death was exposure to the elements. Today I learned alligators can live up to 100 years, which is why there's an increased chance that they will see you later. What's the difference between a dad joke and an athletic rabbit? One's a bit funny, and the other's a fit bunny. My wife asked me, "Do you think our kids are spoiled?" I said, "No, I think they're supposed to smell like that." Maybe they need a bath. Video up here. If you want more glitches, check it out, and see you next time.